Not yet. First thing. Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros MLB. This is Leading Off Live, brought to you by Bet365. Bet $5, get 150 in bonus bets when you use the promo code Leading Off only at Bet365. It is me, Joey P. That, of course, is the Welsh, and it's you, the Peanuts, the Cracker Jacks. Welcome back, everybody, from the All-Star break, sort of, kind of. We still have a day off from baseball, but we're going to come in here and chat live with you a little bit today. A little abbreviated version, nothing to really bet on today. Nothing really going on there. Maybe we'll talk a little futures. We'll talk a little all-star game. But speaking of the future, if you missed it, run to the YouTube channel, watch it on demand. Welsh did an amazing, incredible, unbelievable job of breaking down the MLB draft. So if you're playing Dynasty or Keeper Leagues or just your redraft leagues where you got to get familiar with some of these guys in college baseball who are coming, and even in the high school ranks too, Welsh did an incredible job. We just did a whole show about that. We did some futures as well on there too from that game from the past weekend. Welsh, we're out of practice. I didn't know how to start the show right today. We had a couple of days off there. You know, you didn't put up the right thing in this before. You called Thursday, Friday. We're a mess. Like, we're out of routine, and we're just a complete and utter disaster.
Oh, say, can you see what dawns early? Yeah, sorry. Sorry, everybody. I get teared up.
That was actually an improvement, I would say.
Oh, say does that star-spangled.
Hey, man,
yeah, that's about how
sometimes when you're trying to hit every note, you end up hitting every single note.
Oh,
just not the right ones.
Or none of them. So sometimes when you try to hit them all, you hit none of them. That's about how the start of this was. Yeah, we're completely out of practice. Apologies for your ears, everybody.
We're not checking ourselves, though, in anywhere tomorrow.
No. We'll be good.
Yeah, we're okay. Don't get worried about us. We're okay, everybody.
We're a little out of practice, but I'm very glad to be back with everybody. It was very, I don't know. It was disjointed. I was very disjointed this entire week, not having all of you beautiful people talking to live, but glad to be back. Glad you guys enjoyed those videos. We had a couple fun ones, and we are back in the saddle.
We are. Look, we were going to do a whole thing about the anthem, and then, there were reasons for it. So now I don't want to make, any reasons about anything anymore, which is, it's like, why can't we have something fun for a second and just enjoy something being bad? Like, I want to, but now I feel guilty about, I don't know. I was at the Foo Fighters concert last night, Citi Field, by the way.
How was that singing?
Incredible. I mean, much better singing. Great. Second time I've seen them. Unfortunately, the concert got cut in half. The irony is they tried to squeeze Everlong in because of the lightning and the horrible thunderstorms that were coming. And literally they started singing Everlong and had to stop. They were trying to squeeze it in because they knew they might not be able to come back. And I was like, I thought you promised not to stop when I say when. And I did. That was very ironic. And then they stopped. So whatever. But let's talk about the All-Star game. Welsh, the American League. I mean, it feels like the easiest thing to bet on every year is the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Where it's just the American League. Our boy Jiren Duran coming with MVP.
Oh,
Shohei
very
Ohtani,
interesting. Oh, hold on. I'm glad we're talking about that because the one big debate, if you guys, and this is another fun thing. This will be like, like piecing. It's like a show. It's like a series. If you want the origin story, go back and listen to the Fantasy All-Star video, because the one big argument debate we ended up having was about Jiren Duran. You had put Kyle Tucker in, and we went back and forth about Jiren Duran, and Jiren Duran goes out and wins freaking MVP in that game and looked phenomenal. And yes, Ohtani did, of course, as well. But Why don't you talk to me about some Jiren Duran?
Jiren Duran, one of my favorite guys going into the season. He's been a category filler all year. And I mean, filling up the categories. I love him in Points League. I love him in Roto. I mean, I felt like every show we did, whenever there's some sort of value conversation or rankings about outfielders, no matter what it was, Jiren Duran always came up. But yeah, I mean, you and I were, I think, sky high on Jiren Duran, which is hilarious because the ECR was not going into this year nearly where it needed to be, nor was the ADP catching up there. And that just goes to show you and as a reminder to everybody. ADP is a guideline. It's not an absolute. I mean, don't get all crazy about ADP sometimes. If you like a player and you want to get a player, go get a player. Now, don't be crazy because you can wait to at least that vicinity of round, but Jiren Duran has been terrific. And another, I think, lesson in patience, right, Welsh? Because when he came up, there were some, ups and downs, but now you see him kind of taking off and becoming this, fantastic all-star caliber player, and it was great. So was the Ohtani home run. That was also fantastic. Teoscar beat my boy Bobby Witt. I picked Bobby Witt. If you watch the videos here, I got him at plus 600 before he went to plus, I think it was 4 by the time it went up there, but Teoscar edged him out there. What'd you think of the new rules and the whole derby action there? What'd you think?
That was fine. It was very confusing how they were explaining it, but then it was like, I got to tell you, I think the whole, like, you have this many baseballs was actually really stupid because it was like, they lined up the 40 to the time. Just get rid of one of them. Then give us the baseballs or get rid of the time. You're making that more confusing. I thought the structure was good. It was a little bit long, but I liked the top 4 guys going in. I got waxed in it because I was like, oh, Pete Alonso right-handed, and then Gunnar Henderson. They both stunk. And then I was really, really rooting for Bobby Witt, but, Teoscar took it down. Yeah, it was. Yeah, you would have done that for the money. I was out of the money at that point, but that was pretty great.
Well, mine was Garcia. And I should have listened to Mish. Mish was like, the hometown guy never wins. And he's right. The hometown guy never wins. He's like, but I thought I wasn't even that. My whole thing with Garcia was guys who generate their own power, and Witt was guys who had the stamina to get through this weird athletic trial. Because that's what it is. It's an athletic trial. Yeah. And Witt, to me, was that guy. Let's see if we can help Barry out. He's got a question here for us. Barry, friend of the show, trade away Reagans, Volpe, Lane Thomas, Ian Happ, and get Grayson Rodriguez, Reynaldo Lopez, Jose Miranda, Neto, and Profar. What do you make of this one here? Grayson Rodriguez, Reagans, let's take that first because that seems like those two entities are pretty even. Your thoughts on that and then the rest of this deal? Because I think where you stand on that kind of determines the rest of this deal.
Yeah, it's kind of tough because, like, I guess you could be like Reynaldo and Grayson for Reagans. And I like to do that in trades sometimes, like figure if you can do the cross off. So if you cross those guys off, then it's like Volpe for Miranda, Neto for Ian Happ, and Profar for Lane Thomas. I don't think so. I think Reagans I like the most. Lane Thomas has stolen so many bases in the first half. Bogman and I actually, I've talked about this format, Joe, where our home league, it is first half Roto, and there's a champion crown. The season's over at the All-Star break. Then we redraft in the second half, and we play head-to-head. And that's what we did last night. We just redrafted. I didn't win the first half, but some felt I may have won the draft last night for the head-to-head. And I took Lane Thomas was a massive target of mine just because, some of the injury underperformance as far as batting average goes, but tons of stolen bases, home run potential. So it's just like, I don't know, man. I think Reagans is the best single player. And I think Lane Thomas and Volpe are both kind of underrated in that. I dig Profar and whatnot, but I would hold pat unless you have, the only caveat is like you are desperate for that extra pitching need of Reynaldo. But Reynaldo is one of my big, like, regression second half players. I think he's not going to maintain a sub-2 ERA. So give me Reagans. Give me the Reagan side.
Let's do some Q&A. If you got questions, we've got answers. Drop them in the chat. Here's one from Shane. Trade Zach Gallen for Garrett Crochet. Who do you like more rest of season? This is a tricky one. I never thought we'd be here at a tricky one. I have my feelings, but I can't wait to hear yours on this one.
I would go Crochet because I
would too.
I don't think Crochet's here. I just don't think Crochet is going to be limited at all at this point. Yeah. I feel very confident. So I did some CBS hits this past week, and I did one yesterday, and we were talking about the second half, and they're asking who is the player at the trade deadline, the biggest player to be traded. And I think there's a lot of guys on the table. There's actually a trade rumor right now that's out that the Mariners and the Rays are talking. They've been talking about Isak Paredes for a long time. Randy Rosarena might be on there. I think there's a lot of, in theory, guys. The one I feel confident about is Garrett Crochet. Like I said, Garrett Crochet, because I think he will be traded. He's the number 1 WAR pitcher in baseball, number 1 in strikeouts so far. And like, if he's going to be traded, he's not going to be in any type of innings limit here. So Zach Gallen has underperformed. Like he had those first 2 starts when he came off an injury. Then the fastball kind of tapered back down. He's getting just really funky with his pitch mix stuff right now. He's getting a hit. I think Garrett Crochet is kind of in elite territory. So yes, I would take him over Gallen.
All right. Let's play a little game here, Welsh. I got a game for you. I was looking at some ERAs and OPSs.
All right.
I want to get your take on if they can get better here in the stretch run of the season. I want to start with Dansby Swanson. 87 games, OPS of 632. Blah. He's also hitting 212. Is there any improvement coming for Dansby Swanson, or is this a guy that is just I said at the time this was a weird signing for the Cubs. I did not think it was the best use of their money. He's been okay for the most part, but I don't think he is a great player. Swanson, 9 homers, 31 RBI. Do you think he picks things up in the second half? Yes or no?
I think he improves, but I don't think he's awesome. So like, here's the deal. He's hitting 212, and that's not good. But
so Corbin Carroll, for the record, by the way, with a 635 OPS, they're like right neck and neck. So I assume you would say Carroll over Swanson has the better chance to pick things up.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Like for Swanson, the improvement is just that he will be better, but I don't know if it'll still be relevant. He's got just about a 250 expected batting average. He does have a career high in his hard hit rate, and his barreling is just about the same. Those are a couple metrics I'd put together to look and just go, okay, well, he's also performing pretty well against fastballs and breaking pitches. He will probably find some type of a stride, but I don't think it's going to be anything that's probably not replaceable, even maybe on the wire. Like if, Luis Rengifo, when he's back healthy, like I'd rather have him than Dansby Swanson.
Here's another one. Andres Jimenez, 89 games played so far this year, 5 homers, 45 RBI, hitting just 252, OPS 643. Again, these are some of the worst OPSs of all qualifiers in Major League Baseball. 643. That's pretty paltry. He does have 15 steals. Is Jimenez a buy low for you?
I am going to go on the buy low. Yes, simply because I think this team is really, really hot. He ended July 2 hitting 295. June took him way down, but he had every single month besides June, he had hit over 260, which is a definite positive. And he has had 3 or more stolen bases every month except July. But also just like, that ballpark, I was doing this in my defense, by the way, just a funny little anecdotal thing. I was on RotoWire yesterday with James Anderson, and we were doing first year player stuff. And this whole like, hey guys, it's probably Travis Bazana and Charlie Condon. It seems like it's only Charlie Condon for every single person that I see. Condon is the number 1 guy in Colorado for first year player, and Bazana is the other guy. But I'm bringing this up because in some of the defense, I talked about how that right field has become better for hitters. It is actually the number 1 home run ballpark factor for left-handed hitters in baseball. In the number 1, the most homers have been hit by left-handed hitters in Cleveland. So I'm just saying, overall, from a ballpark factor perspective, that destination has become a better place to hit. So I think you can, run yourself into a few more homers. I think he's going to continue to keep stealing bases. I think there's some upside on the bat still. So yeah, I think Jimenez, really most of the Guardians are really good buys right now. Like I'm still into Josh Naylor and everything. So yes, I think Jimenez is a buy.
I have a few more to throw at you on the hitting side, but first let's talk your friend Carlos off the ledge. Would you keep Helio Ramos or grab Reese Hines? I think I know the answer, but help Carlos here.
I would keep Ramos. I still think Ramos is a dude. Reese is like going crazy.
He is going crazy.
I will be shocked if it holds in the second half.
Yeah, I agree. Cody's talking about Condon, which is a guy we broke down the show. I am not nearly the Condon guy everybody else is. We'll see if I'm right or wrong over the long term. I get the Colorado thing, but whatever. Colorado doesn't feel like what she used to be. A couple more here. I want to throw out Gabriel Torres. 8 home runs, 35 RBI, hitting 231, a 654 OPS. Clearly has been a huge disappointment for the New York Yankees this year. Do you believe that Gabriel Torres had a hot streak in him? Because this was a player just last year that everybody was super excited about and very anxious to draft this year. And it's weird. This is a contract year for him too, if memory serves, and things have kind of fallen apart here. So can he save his free agency and save his second half?
You made me want to do that. Like, do you believe it? I think on love.
By the way, I always get crap for singing on the show. I just want to point out Welsh has now sung twice on the show. So don't give me crap anymore for me singing on the show.
Oh, okay? People give you crap for it. We sing all that. But I will say one disaster of putting you and I together. We're both like singers, and we're probably like the top end of people that want to sing on podcasts. So that's
one disaster.
It is one of plural. It's like a plural way. No, I'm not super optimistic. Could it happen? Sure, absolutely. But everything has just been bad, and this is like a total me wrong type of guy too. Like the profile change last year came in the strikeouts lowering and him not getting ate up by sliders. And that's completely regressed this year. His strikeout rate is actually the second worst of his career right now. There's no real expected stats in his favor. He has a second career worst in his barreling. He's hitting balls way less hard. And all he's doing is just off of fastballs right now. He cannot hit breaking pitches. So he just needs to change the scenery, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to buy into Glaber in the second half.
Switch around to the pitching side. Kevin Gausman sitting at a 4.50 ERA. Last year, he was sitting at 3.16 over 31 starts. This year, the whip is at 1.31. The year before, 1.81. Gausman's been one of the steadiest guys in MLB. He's made 3 straight years of 31 or more starts. I was going to say 30. That's not giving him enough credit. 31 or more starts. This year, he has been spotty, I think, to say the least. Can Gausman find some sort of stability here in the stretch run? Or is Kevin Gausman a guy, too, that maybe some contender kind of knocks on the door as the Blue Jays, feel like they're kind of out of it? It's interesting because Gausman of 2022, 23, any of these last couple of years would be an absolute game changer. But the Gausman we've seen this year doesn't look like anything except a guy who's just grossly inconsistent. What do you make of Gausman's first half, slash a little bit more? And what do you think he could do for everybody in the second half of the season?
Yeah, I'm not a big buyer on him. Looking here, that fastball has just been bad, just dead red middle this year. It's got a almost 300 batting average against and an expected batting average that's quite a bit higher. The same thing has happened with the splitter. It's a 207, but a 242 expected. Those are both worse than last year. Split fingers a little bit more in the zone. Four seam has been higher in the zone. And guess what? He's a 2-pitch pitcher. That equates to 88% of his pitches. Otherwise, he throws a slider. I don't know. Expected stats don't say a whole lot. He has not been efficient. His strikeouts are down. And his 4.5 ERA has an expected ERA worse, over 5 right now. So can he be better? Sure. There's a track record. He just had his 2 starts in July were really good. Am I going to buy into him? No, I don't think so. I think he's just going to be inconsistent.
It's so weird. I mean, he's always been a 2-pitch pitcher, but he's been dominating. So I don't understand why.
Those pitches have become more inefficient. That's the same thing that happened with like Christian Javier, where Christian Javier dominated that one year. Then all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, if one of them doesn't work, you're screwed.
Yeah, I guess so. In terms of looking at closer spots too, is there anybody that you think has been sort of, I don't know, a struggle bus this year in terms of the closer job that people should be worried about in the second half? Anyone getting replaced, in your opinion, when you're starting to look ahead? Or, as we also say too, this is a great opportunity to start adding some guys and some bullpens speculatively before trade deadlines. Are you adding the setup guy in Oakland? Are you adding setup guys in other spots to potentially take over for saves and maybe August, September get some cheap saves in those roto leagues?
Yeah, I mean, one guy I had been at, one guy I had been adding was Justin Martinez, but that's kind of contingent on the Diamondbacks moving Paul Sewald. I think he would move into the closer spot. A really cheap one, Tanner Scott's going to get traded by the Marlins, and that might leave AJ Puck back in because they moved him back to that bullpen role. So maybe he gets some saves. So that might be one of those. Yeah, and I do think there's going to be some guys that also lose it. Maybe the Phillies spot. I know Phillies have been like Hoffman, Alvarado, but maybe what they go and do is they make a move for a closer. Maybe they go and if let's just hypothetically say like the Astros were to be out of it, they could go to a guy like a Hader or something. Bednar might be available if the Pirates were out of it. There's a potential that like those guys could lose some of those saves. So I'm moving away from any team that has a any pseudo playoff team that has a closer, I want to get out from that immediately and even get into, some of the more boring guys. I mean, Kirby Yates is super boring, but that team's not going to give up, and he's going to continuously get saves. So, it's a little bit windy right now, but the two on the top of my mind were the Diamondbacks and the Marlins situation where I was speculating simply because Martinez throws 101, 102. And Carlos actually brings up the Royals. That might be another one. MacArthur might be one of those that loses his gig as well if the Royals go and make a bullpen move.
Yeah, it's important to get ahead of those closer games for sure. I want to run through. There's a great article on FantasyPros.com with some of the bold predictions for the rest of the season. I want you to give me thumbs up, thumbs down, yes, no on some of these. I'm just going to throw some of these pieces at you. Vlad Guerrero Jr. will put up first round numbers in the second half. That's from you, Welsh.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great one.
Love that one.
That's the best.
All right,
one.
I'm just teasing. Marcus Semien will lead the league in runs scored rest of season. What do you think of that?
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I'm big on that's bing. That's my thumbs up because I do think Marcus is in for a big second half. Who wrote that? De La
Cruz will finish with 100 stolen bases. I say no.
Who wrote the Marcus Semien one?
Marcus Semien one was Chase Davis from our own Fantasy Pros.
Ellie will score 100 runs in the second half, or
no, 100 stolen bases when all is said and done. He will finish with 100 steals.
No, I do think he's going to get to 80.
No. I think 80 would be fun, 75 more realistic. Jiren Duran is a top 5 fantasy player and becomes a consensus number 1 heading into 2025.
No.
I agree. That's Mike Mayer, by the way, so you've been spending too much time together.
Surprised it wasn't about Mountcastle.
Well, I think he had his quote on that. Francisco Lindor finishes the year as a top 7 overall fantasy player. Do you think that's achievable?
So this is the second half. He'll be a top 7 in the second half,
or the remainder of the season. Remainder of the season, second half, whatever you want to call it.
I'm going to say no. That would mean someone like Soto or Judge or Ellie would have to. No, so no, I don't think so.
Paul Skeens is going to finish the second half as the consensus SP1 in fantasy.
Agreed. I do think that is going
to be. I think we're Worm saying that one.
Yeah, so we are going to talk about Skeens. I think is the number 1 SP next year. All
right, let's see if you know who this is. Kodai Senga will be one of the top second half pitchers in MLB and fantasy down the stretch. What do you think about that?
Oh, do you want me to guess who wrote that? Is what you want?
No, I didn't.
No piece of Pia. The chat.
It's actually Scott Engel, by the way.
Yeah.
The Peanuts, and it's someone named Peanuts Cracker Jack.
Yeah. I'm gonna say no.
All right, very good. Now there's a bunch of these on here. Go to fantasypros.com on the MLB section, check out the rest of them, and all of the there's ideas and stats to back these all up, but I thought they were pretty fun to kind of throw out there. Speaking of fun, the Brewers, the Dallas Keuchel experiment for them is over. Outright to AAA Nashville. I don't think you're going to see him again. I think they've seen enough. I heard Noah's another spot open, so the Brewers are going to be kicking tires. Maybe DL Hall, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Noah Syndergaard said he's going to shed a couple pounds and he's going to make a comeback next year. Will Noah Syndergaard make a team in 2025? Welsh, yes or no?
Okay, so out of spring training, or are you saying will he have a
out of spring training?
Invite?
I know he's going to. Someone's going to take a flyer in spring training because that's the nature of spring training and pitching.
Big old fat no. A Syndergaard is done.
Oh, I agree. Let's run through some injuries here. Matthew Boyd struck out 7, allowed 1 run, 0 earned in 3 innings on Tuesday in a minor league rehab assignment. So keep an eye on Matthew Boyd in deeper leagues. Esteury Ruiz, remember him? 0 for 4 minor league rehab game yesterday. And Alex Cobb allowed 1 run in 3 1/3 innings. He's also working his way back. So is Tyler Mahle too. From that elbow issue, the Tommy John, he struck out 5 in 2 2/3. Now, Tyler Mahle, when he was right, was a great strikeout pitcher. He's floating around right now. Do you want to take a guess, a gander, if you will, on 0%. The roster percentage of Tyler Mahle right now?
On ESPN, 0.
No, not on ESPN. It's 0. Everything is 0 on ESPN. Let's say CBS.
Yahoo, it's 3%. ESPN, it's 0%. CBS, it's 8%.
Close, 7%. Now, I would be adding this guy. I mean, why wouldn't you add this guy speculatively? I would.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the Rangers are going to need and want maybe some rotation help. There's a really interesting thing that popped out today too, and this is this weird where are the Rangers at as far as competing for a wild card in the division?
They're right there. That's where they are.
Well, there was a rumor that Nate Eovaldi might be a trade option, that they might explore that. And
I said this a couple weeks ago, and I think I want to bring this up again. And I think it is the Rangers are a weird team that can have their cake and eat it too. They have Molly coming back, maybe DeGrom coming back. They just got Scherzer back a couple weeks ago. They could move some pieces in this rotation, still pretend like they're in it, quote unquote. They're 5 games back of the Mariners. That's it. 7.5 out of the wild card. That might be a little trickier, but like, you can either go all in, keep Eovaldi, or you can trade Eovaldi, maybe get something else to help you, and still possibly catch the Mariners with the way the Mariners have been playing.
But that could be one of the things. Like, if a guy like Molly were to come back and they felt that they can optimize by moving Eovaldi and then Molly can move into the rotation, maybe. I don't think it really happens. Molly's an interesting speculative one. I'm just not sure, like, I'm running to the wire to go and pick up Tyler Molly in speculation. Like, I would wait till he's healthy, he's back. They say, hey, we're going to put you in the rotation and he's going to get regular starts. Then I might be a little bit more interested in him. Once he's healthy and in the rotation, I think you're good. I also just don't think he's a guy that, like, crap, you missed your opportunity, because he's not. I don't think anyone's going to be running for Tyler Molly unless you're in a deep league where you got to do it. Yes, then I do agree.
All right, let's run through some fun things. There's no official bets today. Tomorrow we'll be back with the regular scheduled programming. Aaron Judge hit 60 plus regular season home runs, plus 250. Aaron Judge to hit plus 63 regular season home runs, plus 500. Any love for either of these specials?
What's he at right now? 32?
Yeah, somewhere around 33.
So then what is the 60? It's 60 to hit
34. 34. We're both wrong. 60 plus home runs, plus 250, 63 plus home runs, plus 500.
That 60 is interesting. I'm probably not placing that type of bet, but it's within target right now.
Paul Skeens, 150 plus strikeouts, you get a minus 225, 175 plus strikeouts, plus 140, 200 plus strikeouts, plus 500.
Oh, crap, where is he at? That's going to be the big key. I don't know how many he has.
I don't even think it matters where is he at. It matters like what's left in the tank.
Well, but if he's at like 120 right now, run those by me. It was 150 was minus.
He's not even at 100 right now, bruh.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I don't remember.
He's at 89 strikeouts at 66 innings.
And then what were the numbers again?
Whatever he threw in the minor leagues. So what
150 was minus.
150 was minus, yes.
And then 170 was plus money?
No, 150 was minus 225. 175 was plus 140.
I do the 7. I think I might do that 175. I think they're in this right now. There's no reason they're going to push back on it. I think I would play that 170.
All right. League winners. American League. Yankees plus 240, Orioles plus 300, Twinkies plus 650, Guardians plus 700, and then you got the Astros and Mariners at plus 800, 900. I still love Baltimore 3-1. I'm not going to be shaken. That was my World Series pick. I'm still in. American League, Welsh, where do you go?
I'm going to go with the Yankees. I'm going to stick with where I was before. Now, the Orioles, I think, are a great bet, especially because they haven't made any moves yet. And if they go, and there's a lot of rumors, if they go and make a big rotation trade, I think that could change things. I just don't think that's available. And I think the Yankees are going to be coming.
Dodgers in the National League plus 175, Phillies plus 210, 2-1 on the Phillies is where I am still.
Yes, sir.
Phillies, Orioles, that was my World Series going into this year, and I'm sticking to it. Braves at plus 450 are super tempting because if there is somebody in a short series too that I would fear, it's, can you get Chris Sale 3 times in a 7-game series? Can he dominate? Yeah. Maybe he can. And maybe those bats, maybe the Braves just for once get hot at the right time and not be this juggernaut team that's so good, throughout the rest of the season kind of falls apart a little bit as you get to the, into October. So it'll be a very different path for them, kind of flip-flopping with the Phillies in terms of momentum. So maybe it's better for the Braves to be chasers as opposed to the chased for a little bit. And then World Series, Dodgers plus 320, Phillies plus 420, Yankees plus 550, Orioles plus 700, and Braves plus 800. I still like the Fighting Phils plus 420. I think they can get it done. That's where I am. How about you?
Yep, I am with you. I'm going to also go with the Phillies. Yeah, I was in on the Yankees in the offseason when it was kind of laughable, and then they just came out and they were ridiculous. One of the highest run differential teams. Yankees are the second highest in MLB, highest in AL in run differential. They also have the best road record right now. And think of how garbage they've been for the last 15 games. Yet they're still monsters. And they are one of only 2 teams that have a top 5 runs scored per game and ERA per game. They are one of the 5 best in ERA and one of the 5 best in runs scored. The other, by the way, Philly. So I like both of those in there. I think Yankees is an interesting bet, but I'm going to go with you with the Phillies.
Welsh, did you know I've got street cred? Because according to Larry,
really,
Joe just dropped a bruh. My junior high students would give him so much street cred. That's right. That's right. Well, I live with a middle schooler. My daughter is 12, or will be 12 in a couple weeks. And there's a lot of bruh and Yas Queens and aggressive and get
I
it.
have the same. I forgot your daughter and my son are like within days and age, because my son in August will be.
Well, it's looking more and more likely Joey P and family will be out via spring break next year in Arizona. So live shows with myself, Welsh, cousin Donnie too. Who knows? Live from the backfields. It's going to be a good time. We'll definitely get this. Bruh. It's going to be great. Speaking of shows, tomorrow we'll be back with the regular old leading off. But again, there's no games today. So if you need more baseball fix, I'm begging you, go watch. We had our All-Star Game special on the channel. We also just had our MLB draft review and futures review. Check that out. It was so good. It's right here on Fantasy Pros MLB. Subscribe to the channel. Check out Welsh's top 10, the breakdowns of the first round of all the guys that went in Major League
Baseball.
did
an article with that if people want to check it out.
Right. God, you're so versatile.
I did a lot. I took no break. I did a first-year player article where I tiered out probably like close to 20 of the first-year player guys. And then that video is also linked on the article. So check out the article and watch that video that Joe and I did on the draft and a little bit of futures game.
Yeah, and tomorrow we're giving away the Orlando Cabrera jersey. Yes. FantasyPros.com/MLB review is your last chance. We're giving it away. Montreal Expos legend Orlando Cabrera. Tomorrow, regular scheduled programming here on Fantasy Pros MLB. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Peace.